Yeah, 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 yeah. We are on the live. We are on the live and health show today, and we are blessed to have you join us. Touch a little tiny bit on last week's show. We're also going to ensure that we discuss at detail, or should I say in detail, how cholesterol plaques are formed, forming cholesterol plaques. Remembering that our title for the entire show is how LDL sparks heart attack and stroke fears. Basically, we just simply saying that how high LDL leads to heart attack and strokes. That's all that means. So we're going to show you how people get heart attack. If you heard somebody died of a heart attack, we're going to show you what it means. So it won't just be, oh, heart attack, what's heart attack? We're going to talk about how LDL cholesterol leads to that. And it's a lot detailed today. So stick with us and get the education that you need so that you will protect yourself. And then after that, we're also going to talk about how the plaques that are formed as a result of cholesterol buildup leads to the heart attack itself. So we're going to explain it as I said. And then with that out of the way, we're also going to talk about, if we have more time, we're going to talk about how the same process leads to stroke. So if you hear some people are dying of stroke, it's not because their grandmother is doing them, it's because of what we're going to tell you. My goodness. How all that happened as a result of cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. So that is our outline. And if we have time, I'm pretty sure this one will go to next week. The prevention strategies for taking care of your high cholesterol and protecting yourself against heart attacks and strokes. Everybody is not immune. So just hear us out and protect yourself. Even if you feel like, as for you, it can't get to you, just get the information down in your pocket, and hopefully, if it doesn't help you, you can use it to help other people around you and your family. Right. So that is our outline for today. You have anything else to? All right. So we will hit the ball rolling, and again, we want to say that we started with last week. Just a quick review of last week. Start with the functions of LDL.
Functions of LDL and HDL. So last week we mentioned that LDL is made in the liver. Then after it's made, it's carried by the proteins into the various cells for it to be used in our cells. It's also carried to the brain, to the heart. So LDL is produced in the liver and is carried alongside to the cells and the membranes.
The cells and the membranes are also used. LDL also is used, or cholesterol is used in the as a basic unit for most of the hormones that we have. Uh, Testosterone, estrogen, whatever you can think of is part of it, including vitamin D. And so that is one of the functions. And HDL, I'll also say that HDL is the good one, the good guy of the cholesterols. And what HDL does, it's a scavenger, as you remember from last week. HDL picks up the excess cholesterol from your blood and turns them into the liver for them to be processed and removed. So that is why we want you to have high HDL but have low LDL, because high LDL, as we are going to learn, is going to lead to either a stroke or a heart attack. But high HDL, a high density lipoprotein, high of those will remove the bad or extra cholesterol that you don't need and get them processed. So that is, in short, the functions that we talked about. And then we spent a lot of time on the numbers. I don't know if we have the time to go through them quickly. We said that some of the numbers that we may receive from our doctors' offices may not necessarily mean much. All we got to do is to remember that whatever range that your doctor says you should be at, that is what you look for. So we talked about total cholesterol. We talked about the ranges for LDL cholesterol. We talked about the ranges for HDL cholesterol. And basically, the idea is work with your doctor or your APRN or whoever takes care of you to ensure that you are at the level that you have to be. But again, we spent a lot of time, I think maybe close to an hour, discussing what these numbers mean. So we're not going to spend any more time here after this show. If you want to understand what the numbers mean and potentially use it for your help, for yourself, then don't forget to make sure that you do it. All right. So that is that for the numbers on that.
Yeah, and I think we also mentioned that with women, they have a higher HDL than men.
Higher women tend to have higher
Higher HDL
HDL
than men.
than men. All right. All right. So with that out of the way, we are going to go to today. And if you are watching, and I've seen a couple of thumbs up already. My goodness. If you are watching and you haven't shared or commented ever before, or if you did it last week, that one has expired. You need to do it again. My goodness. Click the comment button, comment, ask questions. That's actually it makes the show more interesting. You ask questions, you bring your contributions. I know some health professionals do watch our shows. You know, we may not have time to say everything. You may feel like something is very important, but we missed and we didn't add. Bring it up in the comments, whatever it is. Just share with us and click the like button, depending on where you're watching from: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it is. Just make sure that you are engaging with us and follow us on the Life and Health Show. If you are not already following our Facebook channel, just make sure you click follow. And if you are and you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, click subscribe if you're watching from YouTube. We got lots of content on YouTube also. Looks like our Facebook viewers are more. But yes, click and subscribe if you have a Facebook or YouTube account so that you can follow all the other contents that we actually share. We are actually also this week, we also mentioned that we are collaborating with our channel called the HeartSmart channel. We're going to be sharing videos on HeartSmart channel also on our page here on Facebook, because they are also talking about a lot of the things we're talking about, which is cholesterol and heart disease and stroke, basically cardiovascular health. So you're going to be seeing some videos that are popping up on our stream. I mean our Facebook page if you are following us. All right, with that out of the way, we're thinking that you have already clicked the subscribe and liked our show. We're starting off now. Come on, man. With our show for today. I'm pumped, man. Anything we can do to help people live better lives, right? No heart attacks or less heart attacks and better health. All right. So we're starting off with how plaques are formed. How plaques are actually formed in your arteries. That is the sparking of heart attack and stroke. All right. So if you want to start.
Yeah, so the arteries. Can we elaborate a little more on arteries?
So arteries, got a
Yeah.
good point. All right, let me show this. I think we be very greatly help if we use this image here. So if you are looking at this image right now, you see a circle, one big circle, and then smaller circles, three other circles. So the one big circle that you see, the round circle that has red circles in them, that is a typical representation of your artery. That's your vessels, the pipes that go from every part of your body to your heart. Basically, when the heart pumps blood, it has to go through pipes, and the pipes supply every cell and every organ and that and so forth. So the arteries, when you say arteries, we are talking about basically the tubes, the plumbing in your body that carries blood alongside with the oxygen and the food, nutrients, chemicals that we need. That is what the arteries are, the pipes. So in this artery, the place where it's not compromised is where you just see the red cells, the red cells. The places where you see yellow, we are going to talk about it later. But the artery is basically the pipe as we are talking about. Does that answer it? Do you want to add anything to?
So like the arteries are like the pipes, like you're saying, it linked the heart right to the cells. So it carries oxygen, food, and all that alongside to the cells that is needed. So these pipes is what we are trying to talk about. How can that be blocked? So there are plaques that can be formed, right? So if you want to go back to that slide, we will try and explain how these plaques are formed. So initially, it can happen when there is an
Injury.
injury in that tube. So the things that can cause the injury can be high blood pressure. So if you have this condition, high blood pressure, it means that whenever your blood pressure is high and is pumping through these tubes, these arteries, it can cause injury when the pressure is high. When you are a smoker, you inhale this nicotine substance that can be a toxin that can cause injury in the pipes. And also, when you have high LDL, the one that we spent about 2 weeks, 3 weeks talking about,
So high
LDL,
bad cholesterol.
the bad cholesterol. If you have high of the LDL, that can cause injury in the pipes. And also, if you are uncontrolled sugar, if your sugar is uncontrolled, you have high glucose level in your bloodstream, as it's moving alongside the tube, it can cause injury. So when this injury happens in the tube, that can lead to plaque formation.
My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. So that's what it's up. The injury. So we are actually going stepwise. So the first thing, as she said, is the initial injury. And some of the injuries she has already mentioned. There are several injuries that we can use this show to say. So there's more. I think there's alcohol too. Alcohol can also lead to that.
Toxins.
Toxins that you eat from your food, and toxins basically means poisons that happen to chemicals that happen to be foreign to our body. They are all potential things that can cause injury in the tube, in the pipes where your blood is supposed to flow. So the initial thing that leads to plaque formation is the injury. However, whatever way it comes across, whether your blood glucose is not controlled because you are diabetic, or you're smoking, as she said, or your cholesterol itself can also cause that injury. So with that out of the way, what is the next step in forming cholesterol plaques or artery plaques, as we're talking about? The next one I would also start is the LDL infiltration and oxidation. So when the injury happens, when you have, say, we use an example like, say, you are a smoker. Let's use that as an example, and you cause an injury in the interior wall or in the walls of your arteries. When that happens, the floating LDL begin to infiltrate into that particular side of the injury. So LDL will mobilize itself. Remember, again, if you don't know where LDL is, we already said, right? Low density lipoprotein cholesterol, right? They will mobilize themselves and be at the site where that injury happens. So you smoke, okay, the injury is caused. Now, because of the injury, your LDLs begin to accumulate in that site. And that is what we call the infiltration of LDL cholesterol. All right. I'm going to talk about the next thing that happens is oxidation. Oxidation. A lot of diseases, as we may know, are as a result of oxidation. Oxidation, when we talk even in cancers, we know, well, most of us have heard about something we call free radicals. Free radicals, basically toxins that form in the body because those chemicals have been oxidized. So when oxygen molecules are added to certain chemicals or body substances, they become poisonous. That process is called oxidation. And when LDL begins to accumulate in one place, not only do they stay there, they become oxidized, or I should say, they become poisonous. They become toxic to the body. They become like a cancer-causing agent, in quotes. So because of that oxidation, something also happens. Unless you want to add anything, I'll go forward.
Let's
All
continue.
right. So with that happening, the next thing that will happen then is what we call inflammation. Inflammation. Want to take that
Yeah,
too?
so after it has infiltrated the arteries and being oxidized, meaning that it's becoming hardened,
Toxic.
toxic, the body realized that, oh, something is happening in there. Then all the white blood cells and cytokines and all that, they all gather together
Mhm.
at that point. So when they all gather together, then inflammation occurs. The area become inflamed. Then you start producing the inflammatory substances in that area.
All right, I like that. So basically, as she said, because of the oxidation, it's become more like a poison. And because it's become more like a toxin or poison to the body begins to mobilize factors. Because God has made the body to be so smart that if anything is poisonous, if the body recognizes something as foreign or poisonous, then, as she mentioned, inflammatory substances begin to move straight to that particular place to remove whatever it is that is seemingly poisonous to the body. So when the oxidation of LDL happens, the body recognizes that as poisonous, and because it recognizes that as poisonous or foreign, all the inflammatory substances, one of which she mentioned as cytokines, also white blood cells,
Mm-hmm.
will also be mobilized. All the other inflammatory cells that we don't want to use this to do too much science here, but just remember that when the body sees that your LDL not only have accumulated, but it's also oxidized, inflammatory process will lead to the accumulation of other cells. Those cells are coming there with the mind of clearing that poison that has been found in your artery. And unfortunately, when they come, they get stuck because they try to mix with it to neutralize them,
Mm-hmm.
to make them not poisonous anymore. And by so doing, that particular place becomes enlarged. And so that is what begins the process of uh, plaque formation or cholesterol plaque formation. So if we use this image as an example, this is somebody whose artery, this is the interior wall. The red that you can see is a tube, is the interior pictorial representation of the wall inside an artery. And the red round balls that are moving are also representing your blood cells. The yellow substance there, it's a plaque that has begun to be formed. Why? Because of the things we have already described. Because there was an injury, and not only was there an injury, the infiltration of LDL happened, and when they came together there, when the LDL substances, cholesterol basically came there, they got oxidized, and now inflammation has taken place. So the whole thing is becoming bigger because cells are moving there to neutralize what the cell perceives as something that is foreign to the body. So that is where the plaque formation has brought us so far. Inflammation over there. Now, if we move to the next one, what happened is the plaque formation. I think we actually can use the same thing, but let's use this one to also explain. It makes more sense. You want to
Yeah.
use the pictorial.
So, like you were saying, so when the cytokines and the white blood cells come, they are trying to clear whatever is happening over there, the injury that has been caused over there, or the buildup of the LDL and the oxidation and all that. So they're trying to clear it. So as they're doing it, it gets mixed up with calcium. Calcification occurs, then it becomes bigger. It starts growing bigger and bigger, and that's the yellow substance that is blocking it. So it starts slowly, if you can put the arrow over there. So when it
Unfortunately, I
start
did not.
forming, the yellow will start
So,
coming up
so on the one on your right,
on the
the,
right side.
yes, beginning on the right. Yes, you
So it
see.
start forming slowly, and as the injury is still there and the inflammatory substance are trying to clear that whatever is happening in that area, and they get mixed up with more oxygen, more calcium, and they form this yellow substance that keep growing bigger and bigger, and it will get to the top that the whole thing is blocked. That's when plaque is fully formed.
My goodness, that's dangerous right there. So that is what happens in the plaque formation. It's so when we are born, when we are born, it is not like this. When you and I are born, it is not like this at all. See if I can see something here. And let's go to this. I think I may be able to use this. In fact, my mouse will show here. My mouse is not showing. So when we are born, it's not like this. When we are born, it is very clear, like the bottom part of the whole cycle. You know, when we are born, it is not like so bad. If you see on the bottom, there's very clear. Everybody come out of this world with clean arteries, just the red ones. You can see just red cells moving through the pipe or moving through the tubes. But then with age and with diet, as we age, as we eat, and also if you have the genes for these things to form, all those will come together. And then on the right, as Gifty explained, those substances begin to accumulate. The plaques begin to form. The sad thing is when you get to the top part where the yellow has grown. But we'll come to that. And before we do that, we just want to make sure that we follow stepwise so that we don't go ahead of ourselves. So that is what basically happens during plaque formation. From nothing to something, we say we have faith from zero to hero, right? This is from no plaque to completely blocked artery if you don't take care of yourself. And that is what we are going to understand what happens after the plaque formation. So now let's move on to how plaque formation, how the plaques, now that we have already explained how they form, how does it even matter in heart attack development? That's what we're going to talk about next. Because we can talk about cholesterol, but if we don't know how it is involved in heart attack, it won't make sense. So let's talk now about how the plaques that are formed in your arteries lead to heart attacks. And then we'll go to also when that leads to a stroke. So if you're going to go with us, the next point is that the plaque that has been formed now is formed. We all know how it came about. The injury, after the injury, the infiltration of LDL accumulation, inflammatory substances moving there, as Gifty mentioned, calcium and other things moving there. Now the plaque is a fatty mess that we also showed here. The plaque is like a fatty mess. Now it is huge and it is there. But what has this got to do with a heart attack or stroke? That is what we want to talk about now. And so the first thing is that plaque that we saw, that huge yellow ball, becomes unstable. We call it unstable plaques, which also lead to clot formation. So it is one thing that you have that yellow substance there. It is one thing to have this. But then it's another thing to have it become unstable and another thing become leading to clot. So some people already have these yellow substances there, but they don't have a heart attack. Why? Because the next step hasn't happened. The instability hasn't led to something which is dangerous yet. But we want to prevent that from happening. That's why we're doing this show. So if your doctor has told you that, hey man, hey woman, take it easy because you have a lot of LDL cholesterol, your bad cholesterol is huge, or your total cholesterol is too much. Take some care of it. Take this medicine, change this diet, do this activity to remove it. It is because this has happened. This is what it means. But until it breaks off, or until the subsequent processes happen, you can stay there and be cool. Nobody will, as we said, right? There's no symptoms.
You don't feel anything.
You don't feel anything.
It's still in your artery, deposited there quietly, and it's stable. It's right there. So the blood is able to flow on top of it freely. Sometimes it's not completely blocked. It becomes a problem when it's completely blocked. Then it prevents the flow of blood. But if it just stay there, then maybe your level may be high, maybe a borderline, or is there but it's not that bad kind of thing. So that you have to know. So knowing it help you prevent heart attack from happening.
My goodness. That's why we are here to show you what happens right there. All right, so that is what happened. Now the plaque is there. But then, as we said, the second thing that is going to happen now is it becomes unstable. If you don't check it, if you don't take medications, or you don't use what the doctors are telling you or what we are going to tell you in the future to do to get that thing to come down, it becomes unstable. It won't just stay there and be like, oh, I'm cholesterol plaque. I'm just chilling in this artery. Just don't bother me. Well, at some point, they are going to be unstable. Kind of like when you put a kid down, those of you who have kids, especially if you have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, you tell them to sit. Initially, they may sit, but after some time, that kid is going to run. After some time, that plaque will say that, hey, I've been here for too long. I can't just stay here for staying sick. I got to do something. And, in science, we call something what? Entropy. Everybody wants to be free. That's why we can't stay under people oppression for long. Everybody wants to be free. That is the nature of the universe. And so the plaque also wants to be free. It doesn't want to be stuck in one spot forever. My goodness.
And I think we can add that it becomes unstable because of the way that it was formed, right? So the way that they were put together doesn't make it stable for too long.
My goodness.
It's all about time. After some time, it's going to be unstable. And that's when the problems start.
My goodness. The way that it's formed, she didn't go into details, but if you are mixing calcium, you are mixing white blood cells, you are mixing fat, you are missing all these substances, cytokines, you are missing all those substances. They don't usually mix well.
Yeah.
So no matter how compact they may look in our slide that shows yellow, like smooth there, they don't mix well. So all you see is a fatty substance, but typically they don't mix. And so because they don't mix, they are unstable. That is one reason why they will not continue to be there forever. And so when the plaque become unstable, one day, something as dangerous as your pressure being high blood pressure can just a little pressure, because remember the blood is flowing on top of it. So if your pressure is high, it's like a punch on this yellow substance all the time. So every day, as your heartbeat pump, as your heart continue to beat, this yellow substance is in the way of the blood, and the high blood pressure can break a part of it off. So that is one. We can use just high blood pressure as one reason why that can also break off. And once a particle of this breaks off, then the next step happens, which is what we call the clot formation, right? So once something breaks off, the clot forms, because the blood, again, the body is made to keep certain things constant. The body can understand why something should be moving through the blood when it's foreign. So as soon as something breaks off from this plaque, then the next thing is clot formation. So your body activates certain machines, I should say, certain substances, clot forming processes begin, and then the clot begins to form. And when clots start forming, they don't stop until it is stable. Also, all that is also doing is trying to capture that unstable thing that is floating around. And so when that clot forms, what will happen is it will become enlarged. So that yellow substance no longer is just the plaque. Now it's a huge mess, because now clot has also formed on top of it because something broke off. And all that happens is the artery becomes narrower and narrower until blood cannot flow anymore. And that is where we showed you this particular slide, that on the top, this is something that has become too big. And so blood cannot flow. Now, even in this one, it may not even be a clot. It's just the LDL that has grown and grown and grown, and is completely closed off the passage of blood through the arteries. But when a clot also forms, it may not grow at this. It could be the lesser kind, like the one on the left, which is not completely closed. But once something breaks off, then a clot will form on top, and that clot will completely block the artery. And when that happens, blood cannot flow. So the arteries that are involved, that makes things happen, is one of them is what we call the blockage of the coronary arteries. Huge word for those of you who are not in the medical field, but for all that it means is that the arteries on your heart, they become blocked. So if the arteries on your heart become blocked because of a clot, then blood cannot flow. And when blood cannot flow to the heart, what happens is what?
Heart attack.
Heart attack, because there's no oxygen. So the muscles of the heart begin to die. Reduce blood flow to the heart, and then muscles of the heart begin to die because they cannot get any more blood supply, any more
Oxygen.
oxygen supplying blood. And so, as with any part of the body, if there's no oxygen, then the cells will die. So that is basically how heart attack begins to form. If you want to add anything.
Yeah, so like where the plaques are formed, sometimes that is not the main coronary arteries. It can be any other part of your body. But when it breaks off, when it becomes unstable and it breaks off, then it forms clots, and the clots can go into any part of the artery in the heart. Then blocking it will lead to the heart cells dying and leading to heart attack. So, like we said, that it has no symptoms. You can see a healthy person walking around. All that it takes is maybe something happened, a stressful situation happened. The person becomes so stressed, or they heard a bad news or something. Then the blood pressure shoot up. So as soon as the blood pressure shoots up, maybe it's already high, but the news has even make it even higher. It makes the heart, the blood move faster, and that can take care, cause the plaque to break, and that can lead to heart attack.
My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. And I like that part that you put in that. Uh, as we all know, heart attacks don't. Most people don't see heart attacks until this actually happen. Some people actually see it in heaven because that's where they realize, oh, I'm in heaven. What happened? It was a heart attack. Basically, what I mean is there's no warning. There's no warning. As we have discussed earlier, the unstable plaques are waiting for just one day when the heart pumps too hard because, like she said, you heard a bad news, stressful situation, and your heart just beat faster or beat harder, and a plaque just breaks off, and then it clots your artery somewhere, and then that's it, heart attack right there. And so it's not as as complex as we may have it to be, but basically, as we have explained from the beginning, LDL, high LDL, is the beginning of all the troubles. And though we have said in our previous episodes for this particular season that LDL is good, when LDL becomes in excess, these are some of the dangers that can happen. And the sad thing is, it's not only this, the same thing can also cause a stroke. It can also cause a stroke. So we're going to discuss how these plaques that form, and these dangerous high cholesterol substances that form, how they also lead to strokes. So now, with that on the way, a similar situation, same idea, unstable plaque, and clot formation, because the plaques are, those are the cholesterol. You can replace plaque with cholesterol. So the unstable cholesterol aggregations in your arteries that become broken off as a result of, again, blood pressure or anything else, even the mere fact that they are unstable, as we said, can just break off and cause a clot. And when the clot does not lodge in your heart artery, but it travels to the brain, there are also some tiny arteries in the brain. In the brain, the blood supply there also goes to some tiny pipes, but the clot is bigger than some of those pipes. So when the clot reaches there, it blocks the blood flow to the part of the brain where that particular pipe is going. And once that pipe is blocked, guess what? There cannot be oxygen supplied to that part of the brain. There cannot be glucose or energy supplied to that part of the brain. So that part of the brain becomes dead. And that is what we call a stroke, right? That part of the brain becomes dead. So if we go through our slide, as we have said here, makes it for a more easy understanding. So the brain cells that die, call them the cerebral cells or cerebral arteries. That's where the clot will form. And then the arteries, the cells where that pipe was going to lead to supply the oxygen, those will die because they are being prevented. They have been blocked from receiving oxygen. And so that becomes a stroke, what we call ischemic stroke. There are several kinds of strokes, two major kinds of stroke, but we are talking about ischemic stroke in this sense because a blood clot has prevented the brain cells from receiving oxygen, and so they are dying as a result. add
Yeah.
anything to it.
So I think how from here we can see the carotid
The carotid, yeah.
arteries, right? That is on your neck area, at your neck area. So that part is also linked. That's where the blood flows to your brain. So if that is blocked, that will lead to stroke. And we mentioned the coronary arteries that is linked to the heart. And we also are mentioning the cerebral and the brain arteries. So these arteries are very important. Like we put it in a simple form, it's just the tubes, right, that
Hmm.
carry the oxygen back and forth. So if it's moving and it cannot move through the tube, that's when it prevents the cells begins to die because it's not getting what oxygen, is not getting glucose to function well. So if it's blocked completely, then there is no blood flow. Then the stroke and the heart attack will occur.
My goodness, my goodness. So that is stroke happening from cholesterol plaques all the way to when they form clots and clots blocking arteries which supply the oxygenated blood. Now she mentioned the carotid artery. Some people, in fact, some studies have actually said that people with more blocked carotid arteries or more cholesterol plaques in their carotid arteries, they have a higher incidence of strokes. The carotid artery is right here, the ones you can put your finger on it and hear boom, 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 because your heart is pumping high amounts of blood to your brain through those arteries, right? Now, if those have a lot of cholesterol plaques, your chances of getting stroke is higher than somebody whose carotid arteries don't have those cholesterol plaques. So in some people, they actually do Doppler studies and CT scans and MRIs on their carotid arteries to see how much cholesterol is deposited there. And sometimes some procedures have been done to remove the cholesterol from building up from those arteries because the danger is that they may break off and end up in the brain as a clot. And then that person will get a major stroke. So if you hear somebody got a major stroke, this is all that happened. Cholesterol leading to unstable plaques breaking off and causing a clot, which blocked off some good blood from hitting some nice brain.
Nice
My
brain.
goodness. Yeah. And then this person is pronounced with a huge stroke diagnosis. Stiff. We say it and it's as simple as this, but that's actually all that happens in its simplest form. That's what happens. So if we can do something with the cholesterol, if
Mm.
we can prevent the cholesterol from happening, then we are on our way to preventing ourselves from getting strokes and also getting heart attacks. And that is the key. So if you are watching and you haven't yet hit the like button, you are being stingy with us. We're giving you some good information. Come on, man, hit the like button and hit the thumbs up and be bringing some comments. If you have any comments you put on the chat, we will see it. And we will also thank you for those who comment and ask questions and contribute to the discussion. All right, so that is that for what happens. Now, in the subsequent shows, we are going to be talking about how to prevent this buildup of plaques, of cholesterol plaques, how to take care of those. We're going to spend time now that we have explained what cholesterol is, what LDS is, what HDL is, what total cholesterol is, what triglycerides are. If you don't know any of this, it means you didn't watch last week and the week before. Go back and watch all of them. You get them all hands down. Now that we have gone through all these series and I've also explained how heart attack happens and how stroke happens, our subsequent shows are going to focus on how to prevent the stroke and heart attack from happening in the first place, which is focusing on your dietary, your lifestyle changes and all those good stuff that will help you so that you will ensure that you are getting the right stuff going. So I just wanted to show certain things that we're going to talk about the importance of walking and exercising in subsequent shows to bring your LDL down. We're also going to talk about other things concerning your diet. So all these things these people are doing have effect on LDL. We're also going to talk about other things such as your diet. Of course, what kind of food groups you are to choose from. Are you supposed to continue to eat sugary food or to eat the other kinds of food? We're going to spend shows to talk about these in detail. We're also going to talk about what kinds of foods are going to protect you from building up high cholesterol levels in your arteries. We're going to spend shows and focus on those things, and then we're going to also talk about a huge series of other topics that can basically help you to lower your your LDL cholesterol and increase your HDL cholesterol. So if you don't know what those things mean, please watch those shows that you missed, because going forward, we will not define what cholesterol is. We'll just tell you that eat this to bring your cholesterol down, or do this exercise to bring it down, do this to make your heart, your blood pressure go down. That's what we're going to do. And it will not make sense if you don't know what we have talked about or what all those things are, because it will be like, why should I do that? Now we have said everything concerning what you should do. What those things are. So when we tell you what you should do, it will make more sense. So that is where I think we can pitch. Sure, I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, so with that, some people think that just taking medication, is good enough. So that maybe taking medication to reduce your cholesterol, you can eat whatever. We are not here for that. We are here to help you make the right choices. It's not just medication. We are pharmacists though, but there are other things that we can do so that we don't even end up taking medication altogether. So making the right choices, doing the right things, how we can increase our HDL. Some people think that exercise is just to reduce or maybe lose weight. There is more to it. So like exercising can increase your HDL. And we've learned about what HDL does in our body. So there are so many things that we are going to talk about next week. So stick with us and try and understand the basics and the terminologies and all that we've discussed, so that things will make sense to you. So that like if you go to the doctors and the doctor is saying that, oh, your LDL is too high, you really understand the implication of keeping it high, so that you'll be prompted, you'll be scared, or you'll be, be aware of what you are getting yourself to if you don't change your lifestyle.
My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. So lifestyle changes, we're going to discuss some of them in ability. Physical inactivity, like this gentleman right here. If you look at the belly, you can tell that this man does not walk. He doesn't jump. He just sits in the couch, eats some popcorn, and then yawn, and then watch some TV. My goodness. Now, as we said in our previous shows again, the fact that he is fat or he's overweight does not mean that his LDL cholesterol levels are high, but there's a higher incidence, right? So if you didn't know, again, watch the previous shows and it will make more sense. But yeah, we're going to touch on lifestyle changes, some of the things that you can do to make sure that you are basically doing the right things. And one of the things is stress. This man is being stressed by the wife. Look at the wife behind him, and he is crying. This man can easily have a heart attack. Why? Because of stress. My goodness. My goodness. And so what do? We are going to talk about some of the
How
things
do
to
you know
do.
it's the wife behind him though?
Oh yeah, it's can't you see the woman who will let another woman stand behind them and torture them like that? That is the wife, or maybe the girlfriend, if that's what you mean. My goodness. And similarly, it could happen to somebody who is not. It could be the other way around, I should say. It could be a woman sitting down and a guy also making them stress, right? But the key is stress. Stress can lead to higher LDL levels too. It could be, leading to the excess release of cortisol. Cortisol can be converted to substances that also are not good for your blood pressure and all those good stuff. So you don't want to be stressed. So we're going to talk about lifestyle changes and obviously the foods that we can eat. Oh, another thing is alcohol. How alcohol can also make somebody's LDL go up. People who have high cholesterol, some of them are because they drink too much alcohol. Again, apart from that, they are also hurting the interior. Remember what you said, initial injury.
Injury.
Alcohol can be doing that if you are doing all the. So we're going to basically take a long time going through all these things, how you can overcome these processes so that your heart health or your cardiovascular health, your brain and your heart, and then your vessels will be kept in check, and you will be around for a long time so that you watch our videos for a long time. My goodness. And take care of your family.
Yeah, and
Yes.
also like we will not keep hearing gone too soon,
Exactly. We
you
don't want to
know,
be hearing that.
and we won't live in fear because we don't know what's happening. But now we are getting the information that we need so that we can make informed decisions,
Informed
you know,
choices.
choices, so that we can do the right things and not be in the state of, oh my God, everybody around my age, they are all dying. What's going on? You know, because we have the information, we can make the right choices, and so that we can live long and see our grandkids and our great great grandkids. Right?
My goodness. My goodness. That's what's up. All right. So, with that being said, we're gonna hitch the show at this point. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have, share, like, and do all the other good stuff on YouTube and Facebook. And with that saying, say that beloved,
Beloved,
we
we
wish
wish
above
above
all
all
things
things
that
that you
you prosper
prosper
and
and
be
be
in
in
health,
health,
even
even
as your
as your
soul
soul
prospers.
prospers.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
God bless.